Hi there, it's Nicole McGork for Simon Says Stamp, and today we're blog hopping with the late spring 2014 release from Simon Says Stamp. My card today features the brand new Summer Garden stamp set and coordinating dies, which is a collaboration between Simon Says Stamp and Mama Elephant. So two of my favorite companies working together, which I love. They did this back for the Valentine's release as well. They had a stamp and die set, and this is for the late spring release. So I stamped one of the flowers and a couple of leaves from the Summer Garden stamp set on some smooth white Neenah cardstock, excuse me, using a black dye ink, also from Simon Says Stamp. And I'm simply coloring in my flower with some Prismacolor colored pencils. And I'm doing the lightest color out at the ends of the flower petals and my darkest color there near the center of the flower. And then I will fill in kind of that middle portion with my medium color. So I did yellow, red, and orange for this particular flower. Not a lot of the yellow will really still be quite that yellow, I guess is what I want to say, once I take some Gamsol and blend it all in. Before I do that, I am going to go ahead and color in a couple of these leaves. Again, used my lightest color at the end and my darkest there near the middle. And I kind of skipped past the blending with the Gamsol. I must have forgotten to hit the record button when I actually did that, but you can see I've already blended out the leaves and my flower, and I stamped another one of the flowers from Summer Garden on here, and I'm doing the same thing, just filling it in with kind of my light, medium, and dark colors. And you can go back over it if you feel like maybe there's too much dark near the center or something like that. Again, filling in with my green flower center. Went in with just a little bit even darker green to blend all that out. And now I'm going to take my stump pencil and the Gamsol and blend out all my colors. Do all my pink flower here. And it just blends out all of those colored pencil lines really nice and smooth. It gives it a really seamless, pretty look. You can see how vibrant and pretty these flowers are. I really was going for a springtime look with this card. It seems like winter has gone on forever this year, and still not a lot of warm temperatures in a lot of areas here in the United States. And so I was trying to bring a little springtime to my part of the world, I guess. I'm ready for it to warm up. Now this is one of the coordinating dies, one of the leaf dies, and I'm taping it in place over my colored leaf with some Post-it tape. I like to tape my dies in place so that they don't accidentally shift when I run them through my Big Shot and ruin all of that hard work and coloring and things. So I'm just spinning around my flower die here till I get it how it goes. Sometimes with flower dies like this, it can be a little bit tricky to get all of those petals lined up. So I like to just kind of put it in place and spin it around until I find the right placement. I am going to have to wait to die cut that other flower, the pink flower, because I don't want the dies to overlap, and it was going to overlap if I tried to put it in place there. So I'll go ahead and die cut the rest of the images because I could easily line up all of the other dies and run them through all at once. And you can see I've Post-it taped all of them in place, and it just ensures again that nothing shifted and it pops off easily, and I can reuse a lot of these pieces of tape over and over. I have several more pieces to cut and color and everything, so I will be reusing my Post-it tape for the additional stamped images here in a little bit. I'm going to pop out all the rest of these, and I love the bright and fun colors. And then I'll go ahead and put my other flower die on here and just run that through again. And you can see I'm just reusing that Post-it tape again. I like to get as much use as possible out of my supplies like this. So there are quite a few of the elements for my card, and after I had all of these done, I realized I really thought that I needed to add yet another flower. I wanted to use the last flower on the stamp set here, and I thought I maybe needed a couple more images just to kind of fill in the floral look that I was doing. I'm going to color in all these tiny little florals here, and then I am going to blend that out with some Gamsol, just like I did with the rest of my images, even though they're very teeny tiny. And that I went ahead and colored my blue flower, and I'm blending all of that in. The white that's showing there is actually where there was no colored pencil before I blended it with the Gamsol. And I just needed a little bit more dark, I thought. I needed the dark to go out just a little further from the center. That's why I went back in with my dark. I'm going to color in the rest of the leaves here. And again, do all the same things, and then I will die cut these just like I die cut the previous flowers. Once I have all of these elements finished, I'm ready to complete my card. And I decided that I thought the front of my card needed a little subtle pattern as well. I'm using the Simon Says Stamp Audrey Blue cardstock, and then I'm using a stamp set that came out with the Valentine's release. This is their Artful Borders, I believe, and I am stamping this border stamp, and I'm just repeating it all along the front of my card using the Simon Says Stamp Sea Glass ink. The reason I chose not to use the Audrey Blue ink that coordinates with the cardstock is it tends to be it is a little bit darker than the Sea Glass ink. And I really, once the ink dries, I wanted it to be very light and not dominate the card. I wanted the florals to dominate the front of my card. I just wanted a subtle pattern in the background. So I chose to use the lighter ink, and it worked really well. I'm really happy with how it turned out. It looks really dark here, but the ink is still pretty wet. I decided to go over the front of the card using a text stamp. This is the 6x6 My Favorite Things text background stamp. It's one of my favorite background stamps. And I inked it up with the Sea Glass ink as well, and then I'm just pressing the front of my card into this stamp just to give a little subtle text background. You can see it there. It's not overpowering. I didn't want it to overpower anything else on the card. I just wanted a subtle text background. I'm adding some glitter to the center of my flowers with the Wink of Stella clear glitter brush marker, and then I'm taking the Wink of Stella white glitter brush marker and adding some quick flicks or feathering out from the center of each of my flowers. Now, it doesn't look like much when it goes on wet, but as the ink dries, you can maybe kind of see it there in the pink one and starting to see it here in the orange flower. You can see some of that white, and it just kind of softens it maybe a little bit and just adds another element of color to the flower. It actually shows the best here on the blue flower as it dries, and that ended up really being my favorite one with that white Wink of Stella pin. Now I'm going over the center of each of the flowers with some glossy accents, and I'll set those aside to dry all the way while I work on the rest of my card. Gives it a little bit of dimension to the center of the florals. To the center of all of those borders, the border stamp there, you maybe see that little glitter. That is the Sakura glitter marker that I just dotted in the center of all of those. It adds just a little fun little element to the background of the card. And I adhered the flowers with some foam adhesive, and then tucked in the leaves and the additional floral pieces with glue dots for this really pretty floral bouquet. I stamped the greeting with the Simon Says Stamp black ink as well. I wanted it to be crisp and black and easy to read on my card. Just rearrange these couple of last pieces and my card is finished. I did go ahead and round the corners for the finished card with a 1/2 inch corner rounder as well. I hope you've enjoyed this card featuring one of the new stamp sets and dies from Simon Says Stamp's late spring release from 2014. All of the supplies I used today are listed and linked below the video on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you next time.